Well, first of all, let me put it to you this way. Do you have criminals in society? So there will always be repeats. It is just that this criminality has now moved from what we call the physical space to the virtual space. So it's human nature. Among human beings, we will have criminals. We will have people who try to shortcut and circumvent. So the issue of it going away, I don't think is realistic. What is realistic is how do we predict what is going to come, and how do we best either prevent it or appreciate that when it comes, what do we do about it? In the specific instance, we have this ransomware called WannaCry. Now, in this particular case, let me give you some background. What had happened is that every software is developed by a person or a set of human beings. Now, the operating system of a computer or of your phone, it's like the traffic policeman, the yellow fever. It makes things to move here. You want to print something, it manages that process. You want to look at something on the screen, it manages that process. So the operating system is a fundamental, it's like your blood circulation system. It makes things move and work. So what has happened in this particular case is that these things are created by man, and therefore they are not perfect. Remember, an operating system nowadays, the modern one, may have millions of lines of code. So even if you have one or two errors, like I said, only God is perfect. So there are people in this world, what they do is that they purposefully look for those errors in the code. In this particular instance, the people who are looking for the errors, it was the U.S. National Security Agency, the U.S. NSA. And they found those errors, but they didn't talk. What they did was that they developed tools to exploit those errors so that they could get into people's systems for their own spying and cyber warfare activities. Fortunately or unfortunately, what has happened is that some months ago, those tools were leaked to the public. So now the rest of the world has those tools. And so, of course, some smart man or woman, as the case may be, has used those tools to develop something that now capitalizes on that error. Having said that, that error was actually spotted earlier this year. And actually on March 17th, Microsoft published an online patch, a correction, so that that error was actually closed. But you see, we human beings, with many of us, for many reasons, did not download the patch and apply it to our system. Why didn't we download it? Well, we may be ignorant about it. We may not think it's important. Frankly, it takes a lot of bandwidth, you see, which costs money. So, there are many reasons why maybe we didn't. We should, but we didn't. So at the end of the day, what has happened is that those vulnerable systems, and it's not every system. For example, it's mainly the Microsoft Windows XP, I think Microsoft Windows 8.1, and I think the Windows Server 2013. So it's about 3 different types. If you have a Microsoft Windows 10, for example, that problem was already closed. So, the wall was intact, so they can't penetrate it. However, because a lot of these things, like if you notice, is not machine problem, it's human issues. A lot of times, how do you get the infection? It's like a sexually transmitted disease. There are some things you must do to get it. In this particular case, you get an email with an attachment, for example, that you don't know. You click the attachment to look at it. We've all received those kind of emails before. What you have done is you have opened the door. You receive, again, an email, or you click on a link. Maybe the email has the link, or you see the link on a suspicious site. And what is common here is that funny sites like pornographic sites, like these sites that hold pirated software, they tend to have all these funny links. And again, it's like if you play in the mud, someone will stick to you. So when you look at these kind of things, there's a lot of human issues that are there. Now, if I may, with your permission, there are some things that we have to really make sure that our readers understand. First of all, if you are not infected. And I'm going to use in capitals YET. If you are not yet infected, what do you do? If you have the older operating system, please, today, now, as you are reading this, update. That's the first thing. The challenge you have is that the update is actually quite large. It's almost about a gig. So people like myself, what we are doing is, because we have maybe fiber or higher bandwidth at our office, we download it, we put it on a flash so that it can be circulated among others. Why I mention this is that this is actually, I'm now speaking to state governments and actually federal government, that what, in my opinion, they should do is, where they may have some high bandwidth, download onto, how much is a flash? 3,000 naira? Let the government buy 100 flashes. I'm not talking federal government now, a typical state government. Put these updates on these flashes and circulate to all its ministries, departments, and agencies. That is a quick way, so that not everybody is trying to download. If not, it will take days. Federal government, we have 411 paras. Even if you have 600, what is 600 flashes in terms of the issues at hand? So these are some of the ways I think you can deal with it. The second issue that arises, and so now what you do is that you are closing the gap, then you also make sure that the antivirus is not only viable, but it is also updated. So again, this can be put on a flash and packaged and sent to different organizations. You could have Ministry of Education sent to all universities, and it's 170, I think. What I mean is doable. Now, what if you are infected? A couple of things you have to do. You still have to do the patching. Because if the fundamental foundational weakness is there, no matter what you do on the top of a weak foundation is weak. I think there's a biblical story about building your house on sand. Once the foundation is sandy, now, so you do that update. You now make sure that you update your antivirus or install an antivirus so that it will remove the infection. However, even when you have done all of that, your system is secure. Don't forget, your system has been encrypted. That is your file. So the files are there. It's not that they are not there. You can't access them. So what do we do? Frankly, you are in trouble. Let's be very blunt about it. There's nothing else you can do except A. There is a website called noransomeware.org. That website is an association of Microsoft, IBM, all these antivirus companies. They've come together because they have seen this thing as something that is beyond their not individual capacity, but they need to collaborate. So what they do is that when a ransomware comes out and they are able to figure out how to unencrypt, to decrypt the files, they put the solution, that is the software to decrypt. As of yesterday, today is what? Wednesday 16th, 17th. As of Tuesday 16th, they had 39 decryption solutions. Remember, this one that we have is not part of that. Also remember that there are other ransomwares. This thing is not a today phenomenon. It is just that this particular one has caught everybody's attention. Okay? So I believe very strongly that with time, but if I tell you tomorrow, next week, I can't say. But I'm sure with time, they will come up with a decryption software that you download. It's free from this site. That's what they do. The lessons here for us are that, first and foremost, you must have some level of cyber hygiene. I want to use the example of guinea worm. If somebody defecates in a pool of water here, you that are the other side of the pool, you are affected. So first of all, we must make sure that the pool is clean. How do you do this? Make sure you do regular updates. In fact, Microsoft in particular releases updates every Tuesday. Your antivirus is approximately a week. They're also updates. So you have to keep those updates going. It's part of being of cyber hygiene. Okay. The second thing you need to look at is that you need to be very, what I would say, use a lot of common sense. If Bank A, that you do not have a bank account with, sends you that money has just been transferred to you, please don't click, just delete it. You understand? If you see something from bank B, which you think is your bank, but it doesn't look right, just phone a desk officer, because a bank, there are certain things they will not send you by email. There are certain notices asking for password they will not.